I'm going to ask you to let your imaginations run very, very wild. I'm going to ask you to imagine a man who has had as many heartbeats as I have had, but his heartbeats have not been coming along 70 a minute like yours and mine, but a thump about every year and a half. Well, you do a little fast arithmetic, and he was born about 3.5 or 4 billion years ago when this earth was nothing but a hot blob of gas. And this man, by reason of his lifespan, would have entirely a different frequency perception than we have. He would see only the forest and not the trees, whereas we see the trees and not the forest. I'll let Walt, my old friend, he's an old friend of mine, Walt Disney, explain to you what is meant by frequency perception. I think maybe all of you have seen this. But Walt did a rose planting, and he put a motion picture camera on it and flicked a film about every day or two. And when the plant had grown and the rose had bloomed, he put that whole beautiful phenomenon on the screen, and you saw the whole thing in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. What he did there was to alter the frequency perception. Well, this man would have entirely, as I say, a different frequency perception than we have. Just the forest and not the trees. And so, living all those years, he, 35,000 years ago, he would have observed, coming upon this earth, a character of man that the anthropologists refer to as Cro-Magnon man. Cro-Magnon man. And during these past 35,000 years, here's the way this man with his frequency perception would have seen this. He would have seen man emerging in a straight line, just like that. Of course, I am suggesting that man today is slightly ahead of Cro-Magnon man. Sometimes I doubt it. But nonetheless, that's the way he would have seen it. Just the forest and not the trees. But suppose you put a very, very powerful magnifying glass on that line. What would the interior look like? What would be its detail? I can tell you what it would look like. It would look like this. Evolution, devolution, evolution, devolution, with evolution inching ahead over the millennia. That's the way it would look. Now we are in one of these periods here, one of these devolutionary periods. And that's what we've been yakking about ever since I started last Sunday evening, right? This mess we're in. Well, something pretty bad about that, but I wrote in one of my books one time, there's something good in everything bad if you can figure out what it is. Well, if I was right in that statement, there must be something good about this. I am now convinced that it is an absolute cosmic necessity. Suppose you were sitting atop the universe and had on your hands the job of bringing up a higher grade humanity. What would you do? Would you pep feed the population? Or would you give them obstacles to overcome? I think the latter. For it is an observed fact that the art of becoming is composed of the acts of overcoming. This is absolutely true. As a matter of fact, it's this mess we are in which explains why you are here. Suppose everything were hunky-dory. Would you be here? Now every one of these devolutionary periods has created what I refer to as an anti-agent. And I'm suggesting that some of you who are here are potentially anti-agents. Every good movement in the history of the world has been led. These are always very, very few. Every good movement in the history of the world has been led by an infinitesimal minority. Go back 2,000 years to the time of the perfect exemplar. How many supporters did he have? 12. And one of those was a bum. And as I say in England, and then you come down to America and the founding, the Declaration, and the Constitution and Bill of Rights. There were only a handful of persons who did all the thinking that went into that. The mass didn't know any more about it than they know about it today. That's what it is. It's always an infinitesimal minority. Well, I want now to, having done this, I want to show you how, at least I view this affair. I'm going to put on the board here a chart which resembles what the statisticians refer to as the normal curve.
You wrote it. It was wet when you
No, it's wet now. All right. Here it is. It's the belly-shaped curve. You're all familiar with it, huh? Looks like this. Now, this chart here is to symbolize American voters or adult Americans or whatnot. I'm going to divide it into segments. A little bit of a one here. A little bit of a one here. Now, this little one here is to symbolize the very few true believers in socialism. Call it what you will, it's all the same kettle of fish. Very few of them. And over here is to symbolize the very, very few of those who believe in the free market, private ownership, limited government philosophy with its moral and its spiritual antecedents. Now, in between these two little bits of groups exist the countless millions who, so far as this subject is concerned, couldn't care less. These people in here, they may be great computer designers or musical composers or whatever, but when it comes to this, they don't do anything except to lean toward one of these camps or the other. And for the past few decades, they have been leaning here. And but don't overlook the importance of these persons in here. They're the ones that make the final decision. And if they keep on leaning this way, we're going to be like Russia or Red China or something of that sort. So I'm trying to suggest to you what an enormous responsibility devolves upon us who believe in this philosophy. In other words, you've got to effect a turnabout, causing them to lean this way. These people in here have no more aptitude for this philosophy than I have to write grand opera. And boy, that's pretty close to zero. There are certain words that are analogous or homologous maybe, but light and enlightenment, and ignorance and darkness. And what I'm going to try to demonstrate to you this morning is that darkness has absolutely no resistance to light. And by the same token, ignorance doesn't have a resistance to enlightenment. So, if you'll turn out the light there, I'll try to give you this demonstration. I hope. Yep. Okay, turn her out, Bob. I'm holding in my hand here a wee candle. I would like to call to your attention that every single eye in this room is on this wee candle. I would like to see anyone increase the light in this room by distributing or marketing or selling this wee candle. I don't have to wait for an answer. It is obvious that it cannot be done. What then is the purpose of this wee candle? Well, maybe there's just enough light here, if there is, for one standing right here to find and light his own candle, in which case the light in this room would be increased 100%, which is better than you can do in the stock market. Now then, those two may make it possible for a few others right nearby to find and light their own candles, and it might go on till everybody in this room had lit their candles, in which case there'd be light enough in this room to read a book or maybe even to write one. There's an old English axiom. It's absolutely beautiful. It is light that brings forth the eye. So if you want to bring forth the perception of others, the formula is simple. Just see how much enlightenment you can acquire and share.